What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Bubba Cast, the only podcast dedicated to the in-ring career of Mr. Big Bubba Rogers, aka the Big Boss Man, Ray Traylor himself, or also he was known as The Boss, and we're going to dive into that today. But joining me, as always, of course, I am Zerpie, and joining me, as always, is Lacy Traylor.
Sup, Bubba?
Sup? Sorry, I forgot to introduce myself first.
Let me introduce
Zerpie.
myself.
Exactly. Allow myself to introduce myself.
So we took a little bit of a break. I don't know if it was noticed, but summer vacation. We went down to St. Simon's last week. It was awesome.
Yeah, did you have fun?
Yeah, it was really good.
Cool.
It was very relaxing. Very nice place.
To get away to the beach.
Yeah.
It's been a couple years since I went to the beach. I took a solo vacation a couple years ago. Went to Hilton Head.
Ooh, it is
just by
nice.
myself, and just all I did. I didn't really even leave the hotel. I just got I stayed at some resort down there it was on the beach. It had a pool. It had its own bar. It had live music there every day.
Oh,
so I was like,
why would you want to leave?
Yeah, so I just didn't leave. I think I left one time to go get McDonald's breakfast one morning. That was it.
The Airbnb had a private pool, so we were.
Oh, that's awesome.
The kids loved it. It was a great time.
Yeah.
Tried to go fishing, then realized I'm way too impatient for that. Yeah. None of it was like, I'm used to fishing on like a stocked pond, and I was realizing there with getting frustrated, like, oh wow, I'm really, really spoiled.
Well, I'm about ready to go on vacation. I took some days off this week from work, so I'm just going to be lounging around. Usually what happens is I take some time off work to relax, and then I end up just working the entire time, where I'm just like, let me go and get things. Oh, I need to get an oil change and my tires rotated. Let me go do that. Let me go pick up this thing. And then by the end of it, you're like, I just worked the entire time.
Right.
So I'm going to try and
self-care is important.
Yes.
Try to do nothing is hard.
Yeah, it is. And then when I do nothing, I feel like I've wasted the time. I'm like, no, I enjoyed my time.
Right.
But whatever. What we're here to do today is talk about the Big Boss Man. And today we're going to be covering WCW Saturday Night from December 18th, 1993. This is shortly after the last episode we talked about in WWF.
Yeah.
We were talking about the steroid scandal, which was just about to really blow up on them. And a lot of people were leaving the WWF. And we see some of those people here tonight, including the Boss himself, making his debut, his re-debut in WCW, his return to World Championship Wrestling. But under a new name, The Boss.
My mom used to call me the Boss Man's boss, because I just bossed him around.
The bossy girl. That's funny.
Yeah, yep.
That was like my oldest sister. She was just the boss of the family. She would tell us all
that's just eldest daughter core, for sure. For sure. I'm the only man my dad's scared of.
That's great. I love that.
Man, you chose a really good one. I really enjoyed this one.
This is a whole new era of wrestling for me. I did not watch this at the time, but I love checking out this old WCW era now. And it's so cool seeing some guys here that I didn't even know were in WCW, even if it was for a short period of time. So let's go ahead and just kick off the show. They actually kick off with a promo telling us what to expect in this episode. And we should expect Ravishing Rick Rude, the man recognized by WCW International as the world champion. He's challenged by the British Bulldog, Davey Boy Smith.
Woof, woof.
Now, what the hell is the WCW International World Championship? So I had to look that up because I'm like, I don't know what the fuck that is. It's the big gold belt.
Oh.
Because they have just, in 1993, I believe it was September 1993, WCW withdrew from the NWA. So NWA was now no longer representing there. So they still had the big gold belt, which was the NWA World's title. So they're like, what do we do with it now? Okay, well, we'll just call it the International World title. But then later on, they would have a unification match where Ric Flair won the WCW title and the International World title. They unified it to just be the WCW World Heavyweight Championship.
And he was the first person to hold that belt, that title?
Yeah, as it was then.
Okay.
So, and then later on, when WWE bought WCW, they took the big gold belt again and made it the World Heavyweight Championship there. So
I've never watched a Rick Rude match until
I love Rick Rude.
This one.
Yeah.
He is amazing.
Oh, he's great.
Like I've always seen the little like the hip thing in the pants, but
yep.
I remember my dad talking about it when he passed away, and my grandma loved Rick.
I think a lot of grandmas loved Rick Rude. We also cover that Ric Flair might retire when he puts his career on the line against Vader at Starrcade. So we're gonna look at Ric Flair's career because, guys, it's 1993. It's time for Ric Flair to retire, right?
Already? His first retirement match.
So yes, we are just over a week away from Starrcade 93, which is the 10th anniversary of Starrcade. So that is WCW's big pay-per-view. It's like their WrestleMania. It's the end of the year. It's where, all the big stories culminate. We also get Erik Watts will take on Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff tonight. So we finally get a Paul Orndorff match. Cool. So I know you were friends with Travis.
I've never seen one of his either. Yeah, Travis
for some reason
just texted me not too long ago.
Oh, that's awesome.
Because I called him on the way over here. He didn't answer because I was like, what is this Paul? And we'll get into that when we get to his match. But maybe he'll call us.
But for some reason, me watching wrestling, all the eras of wrestling I've watched, I've completely missed Paul Orndorff. Like he has just left a promotion when I start watching it, or whatever.
Right.
So it's kind of cool finally seeing him wrestling here.
Very cool.
So we also get to see tag team action. Cactus Jack and Maxx Payne run amok. Tony Schiavone and Jesse Ventura are on commentary. Schiavone lets us know that we are a week from Starrcade. Again, it's the 10th anniversary, but we're going to kick things off with match number 1, Stunning Steve Austin with Colonel Rob Parker taking on Alex Davis.
A very young Steve Austin.
Oh, look at him. He has
looking
hair.
Good. Yeah, the hair. He has hair.
So the tag team of the Hollywood Blondes just recently broke up. Of course, I was Stunning Steve Austin with Flying Brian Pillman. They have broken up, and so I had to turn to Wikipedia. Tell me what happened here. What happened with this breakup? So it says, the Blondes' last match as a tag team took place on the October 30th, 1993 episode of Saturday Night. After the Blondes defeated a jobber tag team, Colonel Rob Parker, who had just become Austin's new manager, came to ringside to congratulate Austin and not Pillman on winning the match. Pillman took exception to Parker snubbing him. Parker brought up Pillman's bad leg and said if he was a racehorse, he would put him down. Pillman attacked Parker, which in turn led to Austin attacking and turning on Pillman, turning Pillman face and breaking up the Hollywood Blondes for the third and final time. So I guess they've had problems in the past.
Blondes have more fun.
I guess. Well, maybe not.
No.
Doesn't sound like they're having very much fun with each other. And Tony Schiavone tells Jesse Ventura that last week in a promo, Brian Pillman referred to Colonel Rob Parker as Foghorn Leghorn, and Jesse is very confused as he does not get the reference. He just says Foghorn. Yeah, man, the fucking cartoon character, the big chicken. Like, do you not?
Classic. I say.
I say. Some dude in the crowd has a sign that just says KFC, and I assume this is in reference to Colonel Rob Parker looking like Colonel Sanders. So it will be Stunning Steve Austin facing Dustin Rhodes at Starrcade in a 2 out of 3 falls match. As far as this match, though, not much to write home about. This is clearly a jobber, this Alex Davis guy, because Austin is dominant the entire match and finishes Alex Davis off with a stun gun and gets the pin. The crowd is not happy. They've clearly sided with Brian Pillman in the breakup. So, yeah, that's what you get. You were too much of a diva, Steve Austin. I almost said Stone Cold, but he's not Stone Cold yet. Colonel Parker is asked about Flying Brian Pillman. I'm sorry. Mean Gene is ringside to interview basically everybody, all the winners after their matches. So he's just right there. So as soon as they leave the ring, you got to sit there with Mean Gene. You got to answer for Mean Gene. And Mean Gene, he's pissing some people off.
He is.
Especially Paul Orndorff.
Yep, spit flying out of his
I thought
mouth.
Mr. Wonderful was going to murder Gene. But we will get to that later. So Colonel Rob Parker is asked about Flying Brian Pillman, and he says that he heard Pillman come out here and say he wants Stunning Steve and Colonel Parker, but Pillman isn't even in Austin's league. He says, now on to Starrcade, 2 out of 3 falls. Let me tell you something, you little puppy. You're fooling with the big dogs out here. He tells Stunning Steve that there's a bonus in it for him if his opponent comes up crippled.
Oh.
Holy shit, dude. Like, he's getting real. What the fuck? Parker. He's like, just on national television, hey, I'm going to pay you more if you actually like permanently injure this man. Like, okay, is that allowed?
About it.
I feel like that's against the law. Was there a cop in the building? Let's find out.
No.
Maybe later. Stunning Steve says that Brian Pillman is pathetic for coming out here begging Sting for a match. He proceeds to do an impression of Brian Pillman. He said, I carried you for a year all the way to the top. We kicked you off the big blonde machine because we got bigger and better places to go. Now we're going to Starrcade. Dustin Rhodes, 2 out of 3 falls. What? You know as well as I do, the only reason I'm not the U.S. champ right now is because I was busy carrying and flying Brian, and he was a crutch. I have regained my championship form. 2 out of 3 falls is right up my alley. We've given him every single chance to give up the belt, forfeit the match, and save his family a lot of honor. We've got our feelers out. Even the American Dream is trying to get Dusty to forfeit the match. And that's the bottom line. Every time he's cutting the promo, I'm expecting give me a hell yeah.
And we just came up on like the anniversary of 316 I saw on
Instagram, the King of the Ring 96.
Yeah.
Austin 316 says, I just whipped your ass.
That's a pretty good impression.
It's not the best, but we come back from break and we've got the trio of Mean Gene Okerlund, Jesse the Body Ventura, and Tony Schiavone on the set. Jesse Ventura is somehow bald and has a mullet at the same time.
Yeah,
he's completely bald, but he's got the waterfall in the back of hair that's just attached to the back.
I did not recognize him at first, but then I heard his voice and was like, oh my god.
Hey, Schiavone. Jesse Ventura here. It's conspiracy is what I tell you.
In the Baja.
So how many impressions can I do?
I can do
so far I've got I did an
impression of Will Sasso doing an impression of Jesse.
Of Jesse Ventura, Basically, kind of the Jesse Ventura impression I do is a little bit just Will Sasso doing it. Ventura talks about his excitement for the main event with Rick Rude and the British Bulldog, and Mean Gene accuses him of being drunk.
Casually.
Tony Schiavone says, not only do we have Ravishing Rick Rude and Davey Boy Smith, we have a man who is now the strongest arm in WCW, and his name is Vader, the WCW World Champion. We see a clip of from WCW Worldwide where Vader beats Ice Train in an arm wrestling match. Why they were doing that, I don't know.
The crowd was going crazy.
Oh yeah, it was back and forth, and then finally at the end, Vader just slams it down. Back from the clip, and it's just Mean Gene now, and he's promoting the WCW hotline as he always did.
And he was like,
every episode, man.
I want to be on that tonight.
Yeah, exactly. He even name drops Hulk Hogan, who currently right now Hulk Hogan has left WWF. He did some matches in, I think, All Japan Pro Wrestling, and then he was just kind of a free agent for a little while until 1994 when he finally signed with WCW. So I think he left and he was just working on his show Thunder in Paradise. Do you remember
Thunder in Paradise?
Do you remember Thunder in Paradise?
I've never.
It was one of those shows that would air on weekends, and it was kind of like air around like Baywatch. And it was basically Knight Rider, but on a boat, on a speedboat.
I bet it's hilarious.
Oh yeah, it's really like.
Wait, what's it called?
Thunder in Paradise. He had like a black speedboat or whatever that.
Oh my god!
And he like fought crime or something.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, that was Hulk Hogan's big thing.
There's a 3-disc set.
I think there. I want to say there might have been a movie, not just a TV show. I'm not sure. Yeah, look at that.
Oh yeah, this will be good.
That's great.
Something to laugh to.
So that's great. I got to inform you all about Thunder in Paradise.
I learned so much from you, Zerpie.
But match number 2 is coming up. It's tag team action. We got Cactus Jack and Maxx Payne versus JD Wolf and Tony Zane. While Cactus and Max are making their entrance, we get a pre-tape promo from Tex Slazenger and Shanghai Pierce. If you don't know who the fuck Tex and Shanghai are, because I didn't know, they're the Godwins. So Tex is Dennis Knight, a.k.a. Phineas, a.k.a. Midian.
We love you.
We saw Naked Midian on that episode of WWF Raw 1999.
Yeah, Dennis is great. He is the best. I would love to, if they ever do a Dark Side of Dad, I would love for Midian to come on.
Yeah, that'd be
talk
cool
about that.
So Tex is Midian, and of course Shanghai is Henry Godwin, just in a lucha mask for some reason. He's wearing a mask.
All their whole rosters in WCW right now, pretty much,
so
except for Taker.
They say they're gonna work up a number 6 on Cactus and Maxx, and that's where they go riding into Charlotte, whooping up on everything, and then Maxx and Cactus are left behind the horses. The fuck does that mean?
Whooping up. That's such a funny word.
I don't think he said whooping up. I think he said whopping up.
Whopping up.
Whopping up. We come whopping up. That's a whopping. You come walking up on us. It's a whopping. We're gonna go whopping you. Maxx Payne was known as Man Mountain Rock in WWF. He would shred on the guitar before his matches. He'd come out with a guitar. He had like a WWF
sick.
logo guitar and everything.
Yeah, that's sick.
Because I was watching this, I was like, is that Man Mountain Rock? And I had to look it up. I'm like, that's him. So everyone has just left WWF and is in WCW at this point. At one point, J.D. Wolf grabs Cactus's hair and is holding him in the corner while Tony Zane goes for a splash, but Cactus moves out of the way. So JD gets hit. So Cactus responds by pulling JD into the ring and starts beating on the both of them. But apparently when he accidentally hit his partner in the corner, that counted as a tag. So because then they just switch places. And I was like, all right. The referees here tonight are just doing whatever the fuck they want. Because we'll get to another just referee going into business for himself later on in the night. But Cactus Jack hits J.D. Wolf with a double arm DDT and gets the pin. Maxx Payne runs into the ring and puts Tony Zane in the painkiller submission. Mean Gene is ringside to get an interview with the two winners, as he does with every match here. Gene says people are calling them the ugliest tag team, but he swears he doesn't call them that. Mean Gene asks Cactus Jack about Vader ahead of Vader's match with Flair at Starrcade. And so we get a Cactus Jack promo. Let me try and do my best Cactus Jack here. Right here on national television, I just want to say one thing. You see, I had a question about my old buddy Vader a couple months ago. I questioned about his guts. You see, Mean Gene, I thought that I could take Vader further into the depths of human misery than anyone else has ever had. Sooner or later, I'd look into those eyes and I'd see fear. Well, I took him further into the depths than anyone ever had, further than I'd ever been. I looked into those eyes. No fear. So, Flair, at Starrcade, I hope you walk away with that world championship, and I hope you cripple Vader in the process. But if anyone wants to question Vader's guts, take my word for it. Don't. Mean Gene says, God, it's great talking to you around the holidays, Cactus Jack. He's just like, geez, way to bring down the mood. Okerlund then turns to Maxx Payne and asks him about their upcoming opponents, Tex and Shanghai, but he's interrupted by Cactus Jack again. Cactus Jack says, I'd like to respond to the allegation about Maxx and Cactus Jack being the ugliest men in professional wrestling. One word, Tex, thanks. You see, but unfortunately, Maxx Payne doesn't have the spirit of Christmas holiday in his heart. As a matter of fact, I'm not sure he has anything in there. So why don't you ask Maxx and about Tex and Shanghai? Which Gene is like, I was going to ask him. You interrupted me. I was literally in the process of doing that. But if you know anything about Mick Foley, you should know that he loves Christmas. This man fucking loves Christmas. So even as Cactus Jack, he's getting a little bit of that Christmas spirit out.
I got one of those, or his little Christmas book. He did like
he started doing like children's books.
Yeah, it's very old. It's probably very inappropriate. Attitude Era Christmas books.
Oh, so it probably like has like
Santa's ass.
Yeah, beat up Santa with a steel chair or something.
Something wholesome.
Maxx Payne says he heard what Tex and Shanghai said about their whoop-em swoop-em number 6. When you step in the ring with Maxx and Cactus, you better get ready for the Cactus Killer. Cactus Jack says, hey, Maxx, remember the season, peace on earth. He gives him the peace sign. And back from break, and we join Mean Gene in the Starrcade Control Center. So just like the episode of WWF we watched where they're just trying to sell the WrestleMania 9 pay-per-view, now we got Mean Gene here in the studio trying to sell the Starrcade 93 pay-per-view. So Mean Gene runs down the Starrcade lineup, Ric Flair takes on Vader in a World Heavyweight title versus career match. Then we have the World Television Champion, Lord Steven Regal, defending the title against challenger Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. Terry Taylor locks it up with the Equalizer. I have no idea who the Equalizer is. Shockmaster goes one-on-one with Awesome Kong, but not that Awesome Kong. Not the female wrestler. This is Awesome Kong from the tag team Colossal Kongs. Maxx Payne and Cactus Jack, of course, will be taking on Shanghai Pierce and Tex Slazenger. The WCW Tag Team Champions, the Nasty Boys, are going to be facing Sting and Road Warrior Hawk. So, we watched an episode of Nitro from 1995 where Road Warrior Hawk was on his own, and he fought Big Bubba. And I'm sitting there going, oh, that's weird. I wonder if maybe Animal was injured. Animal was essentially retired from wrestling.
Oh, really?
For like a couple years. That's why he hasn't. We keep seeing just Hawk on his own or with someone else or with Sting. You know,
they reunite eventually though.
He had a back injury, and then he got payouts from because he was insured by Lloyd's of London, and he was collecting payouts from the insurance like for 2 years while he couldn't wrestle, and then he came back from wrestling. I guess his back got better, which. The funny thing is, if you're taking a payout from Lloyd's of London, you have to pay that back if you return to wrestling. Because that's what happened to Rick Rude. Rick Rude also got injured, and he couldn't wrestle anymore. And he took a payout from Lloyd's of London for millions of dollars.
Lloyd's of
it's
London?
It's
okay, I got you.
For
very
expensive and like celebrities and and very expensive stuff. So, Rick Rude took payouts from Lloyd's of London, and then when he returned to WCW and he was kind of part of the NWO and everything, he was begging Eric Bischoff because he's like, I'm cleared to wrestle again. I want to wrestle, but I have to pay back Lloyd's of London all these millions of dollars that I took out. So he's like, pay him back for me, please, Eric Bischoff. Eric Bischoff's like, no. He's like, sorry, it's just not worth it just to have you wrestle again here. Like,
that's sad.
And you're past your prime, so no. And then unfortunately, a couple years later, he passed away.
Yeah.
So
damn.
So, the Nasty Boys will be facing Sting and Road Warrior Hawk. Mean Gene throws to the Nasty Boys manager, Missy Hyatt, who cuts a promo as a hologram.
Shout out, Missy!
They cut to a closer shot of the hologram, and it ruins the effect. You can't see her face now. So, I don't know if that's just the digitized version of this now. Maybe it looked better back in 1993 on a CRT TV, but it kind of ruins the effect.
Yeah.
But Missy basically just says that her boys, the Nasty Boys, are going to hold them down and slap them in their faces. So also on the Starrcade card, U.S. champion the Natural Dustin Rhodes will defend the title in a 2-out-of-3 falls match with Stunning Steve Austin. The man who is now recognized by WCW International as the World Heavyweight Champion, Ravishing Rick Rude, will be challenged by the British Bulldog, Davey Boy Smith, or maybe he will.
Maybe. We'll have to see.
And just announced this weekend, Paul Roma and Paul Orndorff will team up to take on Marcus Bagwell and 2 Cold Scorpio. So I guess they don't have a name yet, but Paul Roma and Paul Orndorff, I believe their team will then go on to be named Pretty Wonderful.
Pretty Wonderful.
So, which I've heard the name, but I didn't know.
Right.
Like, it's like, oh yeah, that's
has
them.
A nice ring to it.
Yeah. So it looks like they just joined up. So they do not have a tag team name yet. So if you can't join us in Charlotte for Starrcade, then join us live on pay-per-view December 27th, 1993. Don't miss it. Next, we see clips from the WCW Amateur Challenge. Lacy, did you see this? These men now. Now, let's say if this was 2025 and you were a single lady, any of these guys pique your interest?
Oh, man. You know what?
They're cutting promos. My God. Just speechless, huh?
Yeah.
Yep.
A little bit.
So I feel like, I don't know what the hell this was. This feels like the precursor to the WCW Nitro party tapes or whatever, where people just are cutting promos and sending in their tape. I don't know if they win anything or they're just to be featured on TV.
What's the prize? Oh, just getting your face up there on TV.
I think that's it. Yeah, it's just so there's one dude says he thinks the things he loves most are working out, riding this big hog because he's sitting on a motorcycle, and wrestling, and he wants to know what it's like to be a horseman. Sorry, bro, you're not gonna find out. We come back from the break, and the Natural Dustin Rhodes is making his way to the ring, and he stops to kiss a baby in the crowd.
Aww.
So match number 3 is Dustin Rhodes versus Bob Cook. They zoom in on some women in the crowd who are very excited to see Dustin Rhodes. Jesse Ventura says, instead of kissing the baby, why didn't he kiss them? Well, because that would be assault.
Yeah.
Unless they consent. But, we don't have time to ask for
Especially
consent
back
and everything.
then.
We got a wrestling match.
Yeah.
It's 1993. There's no such thing as consent.
What is that?
Dear God. That's terrible. There was, by the way. Bob Cook starts the match on offense as he brings Dustin to each corner, beating him down with strikes. His mistake is when he misses a hip toss, and it's reversed by Dustin, who takes over control. Dustin Rhodes hits Bob Cook with a bulldog, and that's enough for him to pin Cook and get the win. So, quick match there. But as soon as the bell rings, stunning Steve Austin runs in. Oh, hell yeah. He gets to the ring and he stakes out Dustin Rhodes from behind. Austin holds Dustin's arms from behind and signals to Colonel Rob Parker to put his cigar out in Dustin's eye. Just then, Flying Brian Pillman runs in just in time to chase Rob Parker away. And this gives Dustin Rhodes the opportunity to break free and beat up Steve Austin until Austin runs off as well. The heels getting chased away like some shit heels.
Yeah.
That's what.
Get out of here.
Get out of here. So it's good. We got to see Flying Brian Pillman on this episode. He doesn't have a match, but we get a little glimpse of him there. And again, the crowd loves Brian Pillman. They are siding with him in the breakup.
The crowd was loud in this one.
Oh, yeah. I forgot to mention, this was taped in Atlanta at
right.
Center Stage, where they would tape a lot of
Aren't they doing AEW shows there now?
They've done it before. They shot the first kind of like week of the pandemic. AEW shot like a few episodes there.
You need to let me know when AEW comes back so we can go with Scotty Too Hottie.
Scotty Too Hottie?
Yeah, he sent me a message and told me that if
he can get us in.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Can I do the worm in front of him?
Yeah,
I can do it.
I want to see it.
I can actually do it. I don't know at this age, though. It's been quite a few years. I'm in my 40s now. I think I had a cousin who injured himself doing the worm.
We used to terrorize Scotty Too Hottie. Like, he was one of the fun ones that would, like, play with you. And my sister would just be hanging on his suitcase.
Like
it would be kind of to the point where we're aggravating him so bad. Dad would have to be like, leave Scotty alone.
Yeah,
leave Scotty alone.
Scotty's not here to be a babysitter.
Yeah.
But that's fun, though. I love Scotty Too Hottie.
He is so nice.
I'm so glad he's still working in the business.
Me too. He's got his son's coming up in it, too.
Oh, that's awesome. So we come back to Tony Schiavone and Jesse Ventura, who were talking about Ric Flair, who's putting his career on the line at Starrcade against Vader. They throw to a video package dedicated to the career of the Nature Boy.
Oh my God.
They show the finish to the first Starrcade in 1983, where Ric Flair took on Harley Race in a cage match. Flair hit Harley Race with a crossbody off the top rope and gets the pin. Also in the video package, they actually mention Ric Flair leaving WCW to go to WWF in 1991, where he won the WWF title. So that was actually kind of cool, seeing competitors still mention, like, hey, man, he went over there and he won a title. Like, that's a big deal. Now they just pretend like that doesn't
Someone
happen.
explained to me that Rick was like a quote made man unquote in the industry. Like,
yeah, everyone
is that like
respected
a Hogan
him
too. Like, well, I don't know.
Well, no one respects Hogan.
Yeah.
But people, a lot of people don't respect Ric Flair anymore. He's allegedly going to bars and shitting himself, getting wasted and shitting himself. Allegedly. Don't sue me. I just read some stuff on the internet.
Wait, who is Ric Flair? I'm just kidding.
What? Richard Fleer.
Richard Fleer.
I don't know if it's pronounced Fleer or Flair, but yeah, it's spelled differently.
So when I met him, or I saw him again back in 2016, he was so nice. He's really fun to be around. But I was like, at the end, I was like, what was your name again? And the way he looked at me,
Flair.
The way he looked at me, I wish I could frame it.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah, and I was like, I'm just kidding, but it did take him aback for a second.
He's like, this woman does not know who I am. Next, we hear from Mike Fratello. Mike Fratello. Sorry, I don't know any of these people because I don't watch sports. He's the head coach of the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Oh, he went on a rant.
He compares Ric Flair to Michael Jordan. Then Brad Daugherty of the Cavaliers who says he doesn't know why Rick wants to do this and that they're all concerned and thinks he should stay away from people like Vader. He's like, you have our support, but he's like, why are you doing this? You're an idiot. Have you seen this man? He's huge and unstoppable. And at this time, the way they were booking Vader in WCW was he was an unstoppable force.
And he looked badass, too.
He was beating the shit out of everybody. And then eventually Hulk Hogan comes over, and Hulk Hogan's just like, no, we ain't doing that shit. And then Vader's like, good, bye. And he leaves, goes to WWF. And then Vince is like, we're not going to book you like that. We're going to have you lose to Shawn Michaels. So it's like, oh, damn. And then he just kind of, the shine wore off of Vader at that point. It sucks. But I was always a big fan of Vader.
Yeah, it's Vader time.
So now we go to Charles Barkley, who's on screen cutting a promo on Vader saying that he's big, but that just means he's going to fall longer and harder. What? That's not a saying.
So young.
You're going to fall longer.
Yeah.
Huh?
He does get his words mixed around a little bit sometimes.
I'm Charles Barkley. That's a bad impression. That is the worst impression I've ever done. I'm sorry.
He's so hilarious, though. I could watch clips of him talking about those.
I love Charles Barkley.
Yeah,
he's
great,
hilarious. I got nothing against that. It's just I love him cutting a promo on Vader. Match number 4, Vader with Harley Race coming out here to take on Rich Anderson. The bell rings, and all I know is that this man, Rich Anderson, is about to fucking die. Vader is beating the fuck out of this man, and Jesse Ventura says, this is what Ric Flair has to look forward to 2 days after Christmas. I hope he enjoys his Christmas, because I have a feeling that's not going to be a happy new year for the Nature Boy. Vader drops Anderson with the Gorilla Press Slam and powerbombs this dude hard, folding him in half and pinning him with one hand on the chest.
That's a big old dude right there.
He made short work of this dude, Rich Anderson. Vader continues to slap Rich Anderson on the mat over and over after the bell rings. And then he pushes away the referee, Nick Patrick, and tries to break it up.
Shout out, Nick. I might stop by New Realm Brewery. He's having Deep South's having a show out there today. But I don't know. It's raining. It's raining.
Yeah. Any excuse to not do anything.
Yeah.
That's what I do. But that's awesome, Nick Patrick. Hell yeah, dude. I was a guest recently on The Hard Way with Brett Michelle, and we talked about NWO Sold Out 1997.
I listened to it.
Nick Patrick was the ref in the entire show, which is so fun. He just had to keep walking out in between matches. I was like, I love this dude.
He's such a nice guy.
And I just love that he looks like Kenny Powers.
Yes.
But yeah, so Vader's just beating the shit out of this guy. He pushes Nick Patrick away. He tries to break it up. We see a replay of the power bomb, and it's the Sega Slam of the Week. And I just want to point out that there was no WCW game on the Sega Genesis. I looked. I had my Sega Genesis going. I was like, there's no WCW. There's WWF games, no WCW. But I did put on WCW Super Brawl on the Super Nintendo.
I knew you would.
Because I was like, there was a Super Brawl game on Super Nintendo, and it's not good. No good WCW games until the N64.
Damn.
But there you go. Mean Gene is ringside, of course, to interview Harley Race and Vader. Gene is asking Harley Race about Starrcade while Vader is pacing in and out of frame, just yelling, "What time is it?" Harley says that Flair's career ends at Starrcade. Vader says, Flair, I know you own a nice Gold's Gym in Charlotte, and after Starrcade, you can go work there full time. He said, bring all your friends and your little boy that says he believes in you. Bring him too, so that I can embarrass you and cause you pain and humiliation. Flair, bring it on! Well, he's just flexing. This dude is out of his mind, and I love it.
What time is it?
It's time! It's Vader time! Back from break, and we got Erik Watts, who's already in the ring, as Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff is making his entrance for its match number 5. Erik Watts versus Paul Orndorff with the Assassin. Erik Watts. Have you met Erik Watts?
I don't know.
Well, we used to work at a place together. And me and you worked at a place together. And Erik Watts was one of our customers. He managed I think it was a nightclub. I don't know if he owned it or managed it. But we supported his point of sale system there. and he was a dick.
Surprise, surprise.
Yes, guys. So I can tell you firsthand experience, Erik Watts is a douche. But tonight he's playing the baby face here, so I guess we're going to cheer him on.
Erik.
Also, they're spelling his name Eric here, but I remember later in his career he spelled it with a K, not a C. I don't know what his shoot name is, so who knows. But anyway, fans are holding up signs and chanting Paula, and I don't know why.
So I texted Travis about this because I was like, is that something? And he said...
You're talking to the mic.
Oh, yeah. Oh, gosh. Okay. Yeah, he's like, look up Rudy Diamond wears Paula t-shirt. It's hilarious.
Okay.
Okay. I'll have to look that up later.
All right. Yeah, I don't know. Everyone look that up.
I don't know.
Everyone do your own research.
He said it's really funny. I'm sure it is.
I mean, obviously they were making fun of his name. They were giving him the woman's version of his name. And so I'm like, okay, I get that.
And then he would go into like the nails, like would do bits, getting his pedicure and all of that.
Doing very feminine things.
Yeah.
That's cool. I like that.
I do too.
So Tony Schiavone tells us that there will be a very special Christmas night edition of Saturday Night next week. He will be with me and Gene Okerlund in Gene's cabin in the mountains, and Santa will be there. So I wonder if Mick Foley's going to show up as well. Ventura says, you guys are working Christmas? You getting paid double time for that? And Tony says, what do you think? Jesse says, no. Tony will do anything for money. So it should be noted that Jesse Ventura was the guy who was pushing for a wrestlers union in WWF, and he got shut down because Hulk Hogan told on him.
Bitch.
Yeah. So, so I do like that Jesse Ventura, true to who he is, was literally asking them on commentary, hey, you getting paid double for working on a holiday? You better be.
Yeah, it's
hilarious.
Like,
hell yeah. But then he does say that Tony will do anything for money. So Erik Watts, the younger competitor in this match, is showing his speed and agility advantage over Orndorff. Mr. Wonderful takes the advantage at one point, but then loses it again because he took a moment to taunt to the crowd. And it gave Watts an opening to take control back. Orndorff reverses an Irish whip, sending Watts off the ropes, who ducks the clothesline from Mr. Wonderful. Off the ropes again, goes for a crossbody, but Orndorff ducks it, and Erik Watts goes flying to the outside. Paul Orndorff hits Watts with a German suplex, goes for the cover, but then lifts Watts' shoulders off the mat just after a 2, just to fish hook his mouth. Like, dude, you could have had the win right there, and then you're like, you know what? Now I'm going to fuck with him some more. So screw that.
We'll see what happens, guy.
Yeah, how does this work then? Erik Watts takes Orndorff down with a series of clotheslines, then climbs up to the top turnbuckle and hits Orndorff with a double axe handle. As I said in the last episode, everybody does a double axe handle. Mr. Wonderful sends Erik Watts into the corner and charges him, but Watts gets his body up in the air over Orndorff, rolls him up in a sunset flip pin, and gets the pin. 1, 2, 3. Erik Watts is your winner. Jesse Ventura says,
he must have held the trunks.
Yeah, because there's no way this man would take advantage. But that's what you get. You're playing with your food.
Yeah.
And your food's going to get the win over you. So Paul Orndorff is pissed. And he attacks Erik Watts and the referee. Orndorff hits a pile driver on Erik Watts. Then Paul Roma, who will be Orndorff's partner at Starrcade, comes out. And he hits the top rope. And goes for a body splash on Watts as Orndorff holds him down. But just in time, the Shockmaster, wearing a hard hat, comes out ringside. This, of course, is Fred Ottman, a.k.a. Tugboat, a.k.a. Typhoon. I saw him last weekend.
No, you didn't. Did you go down to...
Southern Fried Gaming Expo.
You did.
Me and Nick went there, and we saw Fred. He had his own booth. He was signing autographs. I did not get an autograph, but I'm not an autograph guy, but I did take a picture of him from a distance. I was like, I should pay for it, but...
You should have gone up to him and been like... Hey, I'm Zerpie. He likes all my stuff on Facebook.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I felt weird about it. Also, I also kind of felt a little bad because, I mean, it wasn't a wrestling crowd. It was a gaming crowd. So not a lot of business going on there with him. So I was just like, oh, I kind of more want to go walk up.
Yeah.
And like, but I'm not an autograph guy. So I'm like, I'm not going to drop money on autograph.
Yeah, you're kind of introverted too.
Yeah. And he was selling like his elites and everything, his action figures, and they're the older elites that they don't make anymore. So I was like, wow, those are worth a lot of money. Especially
Did you go look at them?
I looked at them like as I walked by, but yeah, I was like, those are good elites. I was like, I got the better ones.
Yeah. See, you're definitely introverted. Do you remember at that bullpen show, that little girl I said that little.
Asking
She kept
for
coming
money?
to ask me for money, and I was like, "Go ask him right there."
And I was like,
Just go
no,
ask him.
I don't know you. Someone get your kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm an introvert. I don't like to talk to people. We did get to play, though. They had, because of course they have like a giant arcade set up there. Pinball, arcade machines, everything. And we did get to play on an original WWF WrestleFest arcade machine.
Oh, very cool.
So that was cool. We did a tag team match against each other. I think Nick might have played as your dad. And,
Nice.
And Ted DiBiase. And then I think I was like Mr. Perfect and maybe like Hulk Hogan or something. Which I was like, I didn't want Hulk Hogan on my team, but the computer picked it. So
It is what it is. Terry.
Yeah. So Shockmaster comes out wearing a hard hat. He comes out to ringside with his hands on his hips and his head cocked to the side like, hey, what's going on here? And apparently that's enough to make the Pauls and the assassin leave. But Mean Gene's standing by to get a word from them. Mean Gene says he doesn't like what he just saw, and that makes Paul Orndorff lose it. And he starts yelling in Gene's face that he didn't like him 10 years ago, and he doesn't like him now.
Oh, God.
He tells Erik Watts that it was a fluke, and he says he's fed up with people calling him Paula. Mean Gene turns to Paul Roma and asks him about their match against Marcus Bagwell and Too Cold Scorpio at Starrcade. Paul Roma says he was asked to be a horseman, but he got tired of carrying the team, so now he's picked somebody that's a superior athlete like himself. And there is no way that Paul Roma was carrying the Four Horsemen. Are you kidding me? But I want to know what was going on with the Four Horsemen in 1993. So we go to Wikipedia. The next incarnation of the Horsemen, containing only 3 active members, was around for fewer than 7 months in 1993. Ric Flair returned from the WWF to WCW to rejoin Arn, and they promised a Horseman reunion at the Slamboree pay-per-view. Paul Roma became the 3rd Horseman after Tully Blanchard and WCW could not come to terms with a deal on his return. Ole Anderson was on hand as the advisor, but made only one appearance on A Flair for the Gold. This group of horsemen is considered by many wrestling fans to be the weakest incarnation of the group. They were faces again and feuded with Barry Windham and the Hollywood Blondes. The group ended due to Arn Anderson's stabbing incident with Sid Vicious during the tour of England in October, and Paul Roma turning on Erik Watts during a tag team match to join Paul Orndorff as the tag team of Pretty Wonderful. Flair went on to feud with WCW World Heavyweight Champion Big Van Vader. So, the stabbing incident that got Arn in trouble, that's why Sid ended up going to WWF, and they gave him
a real fight?
Yes, there was a real fight at a hotel where he was stabbing him with a pair of scissors.
Are you serious?
Yeah, he was stabbing him with scissors. And so,
Oh my God.
so that's why he got the Psycho Sid gimmick in WWF, and he'd come out, and it was almost like the music from Psycho.
Right.
That whole thing is because there was a real stabbing incident. So they're like, cool, you're Psycho Sid now.
Damn.
So yeah, that's what happened. So this was the worst version of the Horsemen. So Roma, you aren't carrying anybody. You are actually part of the worst version. Now the assassin speaks in smooth tones. Give this man a radio show. I just love his voice. I'm like, I don't know anything about this guy, but I fucking love listening to his voice. He says, everything he's ever done his entire life has had a purpose behind it. And his association with these 2 men also has a purpose behind it. Vince Lombardi said a long time ago, winning isn't everything, it's the only thing. But to live by that, you have to be willing to do whatever it takes to win. And that's why these men are associated, because they are willing to do whatever it takes. Tony Schiavone says, tomorrow night on Main Event, we're going to take a look at the career of the man they call Sting. Tomorrow night at 6:05 Eastern on TBS, the Superstation.
And then they just show 3 different vignettes of Sting.
Yeah, I fucking love Sting. He's the best. Also, if you look closely at the entrance little area, there's a poster of Sting that's just off to the side. And I'm like, why is there just a poster of Sting hanging on the wall? But all right. So match number 6, it's time for the main event. Ravishing Rick Rude taking on the British Bulldog Davey Boy Smith. Rick Rude makes his way out to the ring in his signature robe. He tells them to cut the music and pay some respect to the champion and the sexiest man alive. He tells them to his music again as he takes off his robe and reveals the WCW International Heavyweight Championship big gold belt around his waist. Then British Bulldog's theme starts to play. And it's playing. It's playing. Where is the British Bulldog? Jesse Ventura says, is he going to the bathroom or what? Tony Schiavone throws to break as they will need to investigate what's going on with the main event.
It's a freaking mystery.
So I had to look it up. Where was Davey Boy Smith? Well, we go to Wikipedia once again. In July, Smith was reportedly involved in an altercation with a man at a bar who was making advances towards his wife. As a result of the ensuing legal issues that followed, WCW released Smith from his contract in December. So basically, within a week, they've set up this match, and then Davey Boy Smith gets released. Where they're like, you know what? You're kind of too much trouble. Go take care of your shit, but we're going to go ahead and get you out of your contract here. So what do? We need to pivot. I was confused why, if they're having a match at the pay-per-view between these two with the title on the line, why are they having a match tonight without the title on the line? So I wonder if they knew, they're like, we need to pivot. Davey Boy Smith is gone. We need to introduce a new challenger for the title. How do we do it? Well, let's say they have a match on Saturday night just so we can say, oh, he's not here. We're going to change it. And then bring someone else out. So I guess that's what happened here.
Yeah, it has to be.
So, because that's, why else would you fucking do the same match back to back?
Right.
We come back from break, and Mean Gene is standing by with an official from World Championship Wrestling who is a member of the board of directors, Gary Juster. Juster? I don't know. Gary tells us that Davey Boy Smith had a contractual obligation to be here tonight, but he's not here, and nobody's seen him. So they will give him a 30-second count to make it out to the ring, and if he fails to do so, he will forfeit the match to Rick Rude. So the count down the 30 seconds, and Rick Rude is declared the winner.
Okay, so that's how they're he's already won, and he's just coming out.
Exactly,
okay.
yeah. So that should be it. That was the main event of the show, guys. Sorry, we got extra time to kill, but oh well. So Rick Rude grabs the mic. He says, we all know what's happening. Davey Boy Smith had a week to think about it, and he decided he wasn't man enough to step in the ring with the undisputed champion of the world.
What a sentence. The undisputed champion of the world.
Davey Boy Smith has realized what I've been trying to tell everybody all along. The WCW is under siege. The undisputed champion is unbeatable. I am the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end, and I will remain champion until I retire. And just then, the boss runs to the ring and hits Rick Rude from behind with a running forearm. Jesse Ventura says, it's an assault taking place. Why are the cops jumping in the ring?
It's hilarious how anti-bootlegger Jesse Ventura is.
Yes. The referee, Nick Patrick, goes into business for himself and calls for the bell to make this match official on the spot. You don't have the authority to do that, Nick Patrick. He just decided, okay, you know what? Match. Go ahead.
Thanks, Nick.
The men are brawling on the outside. The boss winds up real big and hits Rick Rude with an uppercut. Jesse Ventura makes a good point here. He says, this guy is not signed. He hasn't signed a contract. He just ran in there and jumped Rick Rude. How is this an official match? I agree with him. This should not be official. What the fuck? The boss running around the ring with Rick Rude in a face lock and drives him headfirst into one of the ring posts. The fans are chanting, whoop, there it is, because it's 1993, and that's what we did.
Yeah.
We were a society. Back in the ring, and the boss drops Rude with a big back body drop, followed by a body slam.
Big back body drop. Big back body drop.
Yeah, say that 5 times fast. Jesse Ventura can't believe the fans are cheering this. Tony Schiavone says, hey, they love this guy, and he's from just north of Atlanta in Cobb County. Ventura says, oh, I guess that makes it okay. Just because he's local.
So many jabs. Yeah.
The boss hits Rick Rude with an atomic drop, and Rude sells it like every atomic drop he's ever sold, which is wonderful, and everyone should go on YouTube right now and look at a compilation of Rick Rude selling atomic drops, because it's
so
great.
Good.
And then the boss mocks him with his wobbly legs, like, ooh. Jesse Ventura is still ranting about this match, saying, what is this? Clinton's call for 50,000 new cops, and this is the ones we're getting?
Oh, snap.
Boss goes for a third atomic drop, but by now Rick Rude knows it's coming, and he counters with double chops to the shoulders of the boss and hits him with a DDT. Forearms from the top rope drops the big boss man. I'm sorry, the big boss.
The big boss.
The boss.
The boss.
Followed by a swinging neckbreaker from Rude. Rude comes off the top drop with a knee to the side of the head of the boss. Some guy in the front row has a sign that says Big Boss Man. Put that down. Do you want to get sued? We can't use that name, dude.
Who is that?
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention here when the boss runs in, he's wearing his Big Boss Man.
He is.
Gear.
That didn't last long.
I didn't know. Like he actually came into WCW wearing the blue.
Yeah, no wonder he got a cease and desist.
All they did was remove Big Boss Man, the name, from his pocket or whatever.
Yeah, it was exact.
So
I wonder how long it took him to.
I wonder if it was just a week, because I know that's why they stopped calling him the boss, because WWF was like, that's a little too close. Yeah. So that's when they started doing the Guardian Angel gimmick. But because I guess they're like, look, no one reminds you or remembers you as Big Bubba. You've gotten over as the Big Boss Man. Let's just use that so people recognize you.
And that was Tully Blanchard's doing. He knew, I guess, Curtis Siwa and connected up, and then he went up there and trained.
Cool.
To do it.
So yeah, the boss is here, looking like Big Boss Man, and people. It's good because obviously this dude in the crowd that has the sign, like he. Obviously, that's what they want. They want the recognition of him. So Rick Rude has the boss on the mat in a reverse chin lock until the boss starts getting that stanky leg. He starts to get fired up for the energy of the crowd. The fans cheer him on. The boss fights free, takes down the champ, but Rude sends him throat first across the ropes. Rick Rude locks in the reverse chin lock again, and the boss is fading. Tony Schiavone reminds everybody that once again that the Christmas special next week will be taking place from Mean Gene's cabin in Minnesota. Jesse asks why he wasn't invited. Tony says, you'll have to ask Gene. Jesse says, I live in Minnesota. You don't.
I live in Minnesota.
He was the governor.
Yeah.
After this. So the boss fights back up to his feet once again and drives Rick Rude into the corner. Rude hits another forearm off the top onto the back of the neck of the boss. Rude goes to the top rope for the fourth time, but this time the boss knows what's coming and he catches Rude with an uppercut. Rick Rude falls across the middle rope and we see some classic Big Boss Man moves here. The boss rebounds off the ropes, jumps on the back of Rick Rude, who's hung across the ropes, and then rebounds off the ropes again, slides under the bottom rope, turns around and hits Rick Rude with an uppercut in the face. Classic Boss Man. Yep. That's some vintage Boss Man. The boss throws Rude headfirst into 3 of the corners, then sends him off the ropes and catches him with the Boss Man Slam, or whatever they're going to call it now. And it looked awkward. I don't know what the fuck. It looked like, it seemed like Rick Rude was kind of putting himself in the move, and the boss was like, Ray was like, oh, we're doing the finish now. Like, whoops. And then he quickly kind of turned it into a Boss Man Slam. I think he wasn't expecting it.
Yeah.
Because Rick Rude kind of slammed himself. So, but it looked good enough that it fooled them.
He's incredible. I feel like it's like that Mr. Perfect style where any match that they're in is just it's gonna be
and those two are like best friends too.
Yeah.
So the boss hooks the legs and gets the pin. 1, 2, 3. The title wasn't on the line, but the boss just came in and beat the international heavyweight champion clean on television, and that's a big deal.
I couldn't believe he won.
Right? It's rare that we see your dad winning and winning clean.
Against Rick Rude?
Rick Rude, the champion. Holy shit. So, Jesse Ventura says, I can't believe this. The atrocity, Schiavone. Mean Gene is ringside, of course, to get a word with the boss. Mean Gene says, the boss is back in World Championship Wrestling. Ladies and gentlemen, what can we possibly expect from this visit? Now, Lacy, I'm going to ask you once again to do a cold reading of one of your dad's promos. Can you cut a promo for us here?
I can do my very best. I want you to take a good long look at these people. They believe in the boss. They believe in law and order and justice. And I'm here to make sure that I take care of business. Well, the first order of business I see is ravishing Rick Rude. Where there's smoke, there's flames. Where there's criminal, there's crime. Rick Rude, you're a criminal, and that's what I deal with. Trash like you. The world championship belt that's around your waist rightfully belongs to me. I just proved it. No matter where we're at, no matter when, I'm getting a shot at that belt, Rick Rude, and you can't get it. And if you can't get it taken care of, there's about to be somebody around here that can. Wait,
because that last line it's weird. No, you're
where
right.
There's criminal, there's crime.
Yeah.
Okay, where there's smoke, there's flames.
I like it. Which when I was typing that out, it kept trying to correct me, and they're like, where there's criminal, there's crime. That's not proper English. And I was like, hey, that's what he said.
Yeah.
Like, listen, when he says it with conviction. I believe him.
Yeah.
Where there's criminal, there's crime.
The White House.
Mean Gene says, all right, let's hear it for the boss. He's here in World Championship Wrestling. You heard him loud and clear, ladies and gentlemen. He wants Ravishing Rick Rude and that prestigious international world title of his. For all of us here on Saturday night, have a good week. I guarantee next time, 1 week from now, it's going to be a barn burner. I'm going to talk about this on the hotline tonight. Have a good one. Of course. Oh, yeah. One more sell of the hotline, please. Hotline. Because Mean Gene is getting rich off that hotline money, I tell you. Woo.
Oh yeah, he's excited to get on that one.
So wow, what a night! I had no idea that. First of all, I didn't know that he had been gone. Ray had been gone from WCW since like '87. Because I guess he came in there. He had his little stint in NWA World Championship Wrestling at the beginning, and then went to UWF, won the title, and then went to WWF, and now he has just returned. And so.
Okay, so because one of the earlier episodes we covered, he was in the different.
He was Big
gear.
Bubba.
Yeah, he was Big Bubba.
That was 2 years later.
Yeah, so.
That was 95 on Nitro. So
we're doing enough episodes now where we're starting to.
We're seeing all these little character changes and everything, and so kind of looking for some of these big moments where debuts or returns and everything. Eventually, we will have to get to him. Re-debuting in WWF as Vince McMahon's private security, beating up Stone Cold Steve Austin. Oh, hell yeah. He's like, I remember you. Aren't you that blonde guy?
Oh, yeah.
I beat your ass before. So, looking forward to a lot more of these big marquee moments in his career. So if there's anything you guys want to see, any big moments you want to see, I know someone did suggest in WWF when him and Bull Buchanan finally split.
Oh, yeah.
They had a match that we will have to get to, but I believe it was on one of the pay-per-views, so it's going to be a long one if we watch that. So
another one.
We'll get to it eventually.
Guys, I'll be at the Gathering the end of July. I think it's the 30th through the 2nd, whatever it is. If you're out, come say hey. I'll be with Hal, and I think Hal's going to do a Boss Man cosplay.
Hal Haney. Check out Hal Haney Art.
Give us a follow over on Instagram. We're at the BubbaCast. And I'm Lacy, Laacy, Abilene. And then at Zerpie_MD.
That's right. Check out my figure photography over there. And that's it for this episode. We will see you next time.
Later, Bubbas.
Goodbye.